What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video we are previewing Italy taking on Scotland this weekend at Murrayfield. You know, a lot of people probably would have written this game off and not much interest in all that stuff, but it could be an interesting game. You know, back in the day these two had a hell of a rivalry where they would fight obviously to stay out of the wooden spoon. But since 2015 Italy have not been able to win a Six Nations game. The last time they did win was beating Scotland in 2015. So it's a big one for the Italians as they've faced a hell of a lot of criticism this year. And quite a few years, but this year in particular, because they just haven't been able to put up the effort or the match temperament or the physicality, you know, all these types of things against the teams that they've currently played against in the Six Nations tournament. And therefore everyone's questioning the current situation. You know, we've looked at the teams and like I said, Scotland used to be on a level where these two teams would fight. But Scotland have come a long way. I mean, they beat England at the start of this tournament. Just goes to show the growth and the momentum. I mean, the coach of Italy has said it's going to take them probably 8 years or 6 to 8 years in order for them to be competitive. I mean, that's a hell of a long time for when you've already not won a game in about 6 years. So to wait another 6, is it fair? I mean, you've got tier 2 nations that are fighting hard to try and prove a point and to try and get an opportunity to play in Six Nations. And you've also got a tournament that could be a hell of a lot more competitive if you bring in another country or if you make it 5 nations, and then it's going to be one hell of a tournament. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the focus is on this weekend. It's a new start and it's a new opportunity for Italy to end this tournament on some sort of a positive note. Scotland, obviously, having lost to Ireland last weekend, will definitely be hurting. There were opportunities where the Scots could have indeed done it, but it just wasn't their time. There were mistakes, you know, they just needed a lot to work on, and they're going to need to put focus into this game so that they can at least end off on a good note. Both these teams will be wanting to end off on a solid note as we approach this game. You know, the last few times we've seen the Italians come close in previous years, but the last 3 games that they've played in more than, 40 points are scored. Against Wales, just the other day, it was 7-48. Against Ireland, 10-48. Against England, 41-18. Albeit that game was pretty impressive because the Italians put in a strong performance in the first half. Scotland's last 3 games, 24-27, just lost to Ireland. Obviously, we're still waiting on the French game, which is going to happen next week, Friday. And then, obviously, Scotland versus Wales was a 1-point defeat, where they could have had the opportunity. Scotland have come a long way. It's just a matter of what they need to do to get past that final era or final element to start winning competitive matches. Because they're there. And I mean, so many people are disappointed with the fact that they're like, oh, maybe this weekend it's Scotland's opportunity to do something, but they just lose it out. And it's those small things that they've got to work on if they're wanting to win. And the sad thing was, the way Scotland started the tournament by beating England, they had a good opportunity to possibly win the Six Nations. If they had beaten Wales and not allowed Zammit to score, you would have seen Scotland fighting hard for the opportunity, and the final possibly could have been next weekend when Scotland took on France. Just imagine that. But it's a painful thought because it's just not going to happen. We're going to end the tournament and see what happens probably this weekend of how and if what's going to happen. Wales beat France this weekend. They win the Six Nations. Boom. They already pretty much got it. So it's an interesting one for us to watch. But going back to the game, there's always been a great rivalry. We've seen moments of Italy where they can definitely show improvement and they can put up a fight. And what better way to put up a fight than against the Scots? Because of their past rivalry, of their history, of their passion that these two teams have when they're playing each other. I personally feel this is going to be an exciting game. I know a lot will think, oh man, it's Italy. Write it off. What's the point of watching it? I really think it's a game that we should be watching because Scotland will be frustrated and they'll know what they did wrong and they'll want to work on it. But Italy too will be just as frustrated. If they have to identify the teams that they could possibly beat, Scotland will be one of them because they've done it before, and they've done it on a few occasions before. So for me, this should be Italy's big game that they've been preparing for. And what a way to sign off and silence the critics. Look, it's not going to be enough, even if they win, because, let's face it, the scorecards are just shocking at the moment with how Italy's getting defeated. But if they can at least pick up a win, end the tournament on a good note, these are all good things for the Italians. So I really feel that they have a lot on the line for this game, and they're going to put their heart and soul into every aspect of this performance on Saturday. I'm looking forward to this one. I will be watching and I will be streaming. I feel the teams that are there will have to really show up. Scotland's going to want to prove a point, get a good game in before the big one against France. Scotland knows if they can dominate Italy, pick up a surprise win against France next weekend, then already Scotland are on the rise. And then we'll end off on a more of a positive note as to what they technically should have. Italy leave on a win. Well, they can silence a few critics for the next year and say, well, we beat Scotland. Finally, first game, we are on the rise. That's how they should look at it. That's how they should focus on it. Last time these two met in Six Nations was on the 22nd of February, and Scotland won 17-0. Not much of a point scoring difference there. I mean, obviously, they got no points, but we've at least seen Italy get points. 7, 10, 18 against England. And if Italy show up with the performance that they had against England, against this game against Scotland, that's definitely going to be a boost for them as they produce forward. They're going to have to take it one step at a time, produce the goods, produce the odds. And they have every opportunity. If we look at some of the stats, total points for both these teams, 59 for Scotland, 45 for Italy. Not much of a difference. 7 tries to 5 tries to Scotland, or 7 tries to Scotland. So it's interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. If Scotland want to win, they've got to win set pieces. Lineouts, scrums. Lineouts were appalling last weekend. If they want any opportunity, they need to work on their lineouts and they need to work on their scrums. They need to pick it up a level. Because if they don't do that, then unfortunately the Italians are going to catch them. Like I said, I think this could be a very cool game to watch. And I think it could be exciting. There's a lot on the line for both these teams. One is wanting to win. The other is wanting to silence critics that have been going at them the whole bloody week. Whole bloody year. So for me, I'm still going Scotland to win. It's at Murrayfield. I have the confidence in them that they will win. But one thing's for sure. The Italians are going to fight. And Scotland need to be ready for that fight. So Scotland to win by more than 10. But I won't be surprised if half-time Italy are within a small amount of points. Or maybe even in the lead at half-time. Anything's possible. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.